Today I want to distinguish doing one thing at a time from only being able to have one thing at a time going on. This is a massive distinction. In fact, being able to do one thing at a time is what enables us to have more than one thing going on. When I can use my energy and attention productively and differently for half an hour block and give my full concentration to what I'm doing, I can fit in a whole other thing, a whole other project, a whole other initiative, a whole other set of learning. Again, like yesterday's video mentioned, with a 50x multiplier over the year on a weekly basis, than if when I'm doing something that absorbs the whole day, spreads out over the whole mind, right? We've got folks who, when they start a project, all they can do is think about the project. When they're not programming it, they're still thinking about the programming. They're not doing sound, they're still thinking about the sound. Not doing art, still thinking about the art. And it can feel like something like that's doing beneficial work, like that's making progress. The reality is it's burning us out. It wears us down. It exhausts us. And worse, it does it super unproductively, right? It'd be like if you were trying to get in shape for a sport and all the time that you're not running, you're still in your head focusing really hard on running. It's not making you any more fit. It's not making you any better for the sport. But what it does do is it starts to trick us in our heads into thinking we're making progress that we aren't. And we see this all the time with game developers. Fortunately, say not in home team, but outside of home team, people who come to me for help sometimes, I've been figuring out that they have for weeks or for months or sometimes for years been exhausting themselves thinking about stuff while they're not doing it. While you are coding, give your attention to coding. While you're doing art, give your attention to art. While you're doing music, give your attention to music. And heck, while you're relaxing, right? While you're playing a game for a break, give your full attention to that. You can't be in the back of your mind constantly still spinning on thinking about what you're not doing. It just wears you out and gets you less quality value out of what you're actually putting your time into. And that's the difference between when someone can have only one thing going on at a time. What I mean by that is as soon as they have a jam going on, as soon as they have a personal project, as soon as they have something come up, pretty ordinary, right? Work, school, things that everybody else is balancing alongside of us stuff they have going on, it takes over their ability to do anything else. Completely conquers their attention, so it can't be used on anything else. Because what's happening is that they can't shift their focus. Now, the key to this, right, is partly that when you focus on what you're doing, right, it's also equally important to not focus on what you're not doing, but it's very, very hard to do that intentionally. In the same kind of way, if you've ever tried to not send a message to somebody, if you've ever tried to not think about some weird memory you have from school days or something, well, in those kind of cases, it's like there's this classic thing. I think it was the first year we had a psych class, and teacher told us, try to not think of anything related to polar bears. And if you give it a minute, try to think of things that are in no way related to polar bears. What inevitably happens, right, of course, is that your brain starts trying to form a web of what can filter on. So you start thinking about all the things that are related to polar bears to not think about it. So you're thinking about the color white, and you're thinking of grizzly bears, you're thinking of fur, you're thinking of snow, you're thinking of Far Side comics or Coca-Cola ads, depending on your generation, what ads have been pushed into your brain. But the same sort of thing happens where if you try to not focus on a thing, well, what's happening is you're actually focusing inadvertently, right? If you concentrate really hard on not thinking about doing game development, you're still going to wear your brain out on essentially game development indirectly. And so it has to happen in the same kind of way, right? Of I'm a vegan person, I don't eat meat and things, but it's not like I just took those out. You got to replace them. You got to put something else in their place. And the same thing applies here of the way you don't focus on what you're not doing. Yeah, that's right. Is that you focus on something else. You give your attention, your full attention to the other thing that you're doing. And this is where in many cases, having more to do, adding a few things to your schedule can be more useful than subtracting from it. Rather than burning yourself out from having one thing to do and the rest of the time thinking about it and exhausting yourself while not doing anything on it. It's far more beneficial if you add reading a book you enjoy, watching a show you enjoy, going for a walk that you want to do. If you fit those things in, even if it's a half hour, if it's 15 minutes, 15 minutes. But while you're doing it, you're giving your full attention undivided to that walk, to that book, to that game, to that show. What a difference it can make in your overall ability to come back, give your focus back to the thing, and then when you're focusing on it, you're really doing it. And this is actually a large part of what I've enjoyed. It's almost like a meditative is maybe a strong word, but it's sort of a mental clarity benefit of doing game development is it's something that can tie up so much attention while it's being done. The puzzles that we're solving, the creative tasks we're engaging in, that really it can absorb the mind while I'm doing it, freeing me up to not focus on other things. So when I go back to them a little more refreshed. Because the intention energy going that direction, the concentration attention going that direction, when I step back from it, it was a break from, I couldn't also think about the other things going on. So it also prevents us from tricking ourselves, from feeling as if I'm making progress when for weeks, for months, for years, nothing's really happening because all that's actually happening is I'm thinking about what it would be like if I was doing it. While there is no actual code going down, models getting made, levels being designed, writing getting done. by only letting ourselves give our attention to it while we're doing it, we can't trick ourselves. We're either doing it or we're not. And the fact is, that's true regardless. The difference is whether or not our brain is in alignment with the reality of what actions we're taking and what progress we're making and what we're doing. Like I said in yesterday's video, that stuff adds up, right? Even that half an hour, 15 minutes, a week will add up in a way that 0 times any number is still 0. If no time's going towards it because we will never give our full attention to it, it's not happening. And I say to it, I mean to doing it, not to thinking about doing it. But it begins by focusing on what we're doing. It begins to be able to take an hour, half an hour, 2-hour block, give our full attention to what we're doing. And then when we're not doing it, to be free from it, to not be wearing ourselves out in the back of our brain, spinning constantly on it, to instead give our full attention to while we're at work, while we're in a meeting, while we're having a conversation with somebody, while we're doing something else. That's it for today. Of course, this is related semi to my self-command material here, linked in the description. Still on discount this weekend until Nov 2021, the end of this month. Thanks to Black Friday stuff, 75% off. Anyway, links there. Catch you another day. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.